Yeah, we don't want anybody to leave. We want to hear what everyone has to say and get the reaction from our parents. So we can open up to a question and answer session starting now. And if we could just have folks that want to ask their question get by the podium, we'll have a line by the podium, and we can go in that order.
Can you get a microphone here at the podium? Everybody's going to have a voice.
Sure, we can. All right,
Trey, Mike needs to be close to her mouth.
I'm Doris Smith Starks, a longtime residential person. I'm one of the coordinators for the Norristown Townwide Block Admins Association. And I'm not going to go through a whole lot of stuff, but I just want to ask one question. I've been hearing you say about the cops and whatever and with the laws, but I have not heard anything about the parents. What are the parents doing? Why aren't they involved with their children? Because that's where it starts. It starts at home. And we can't move for the police to do everything. I'm with the Town Watch, and I don't look for the police to do everything for me when I have a problem. And anybody that has children or whatever, you are responsible for your child. And you don't let nobody,
Ms. Starks,
yes.
just bear with me 1 second. Like I said, I promise you, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anyone. If you're going to ask questions, please ask your questions so we can move on. We're not going to.
Okay, I'm asking a question. What about the parents? What are they doing being involved with the kids? All right, answer that question.
Ms. Doris, thank you for that question.
Yes.
I'm going to just tell you my policy and my opinion as an elected official. When I had to start pushing for reform, which is to stop arresting so many kids for minor offenses, I sat in front of a district attorney who's not the district attorney now, whom I respect. But the response from her primarily was, what about the parents? And I said to her, my job is to sit here and I represent kids who may not have parents or come from a single family home. When I walked the streets late at night, Ms. Doris, there were kids who were out because there were inappropriate things going on in their house and they didn't want to be in their house. They were out breaking curfew because their electricity had been turned off and it was cooler outside than it was in their house. And so I want to protect kids, and we know the data shows that if you get incarcerated as a youth, there's just a mountain of evidence about where your life is going to go. So, yeah, maybe mom and dad aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, but from a public policy perspective, do I want the kid to go this way because the parents aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing? Or do I want to say, I don't want the criminal justice system to be the thing that pushes the kid over the cliff? I'm saying, I don't want that kid to be pushed over the cliff. Now, I'm not talking about a kid that's got a gun and shot somebody. I'm not talking about a kid that may have committed assault. But I am saying too many of our kids, we use this language of what about the parents, and we replace the incarceration becomes the substitute parent. And incarceration is only headed this way.
Hi, my name is Anthea Lett. I have a mother of 4 kids, and my oldest son has ADHD. And I try as hard as possible to tell him to do the right thing, but my fear is, how do I tell him to get him to understand how to interact in a situation where there's police involved, where he can't focus himself. If I tell him stop, don't move, and he's not paying attention, he keeps going. My fear is that he's going to lose his life because of his disability. So my question, the reason I'm here is, how do I help him? How do I help him to learn how to interact with the police? My cousin who's been incarcerated told me to teach him to fear them. And that's it. That's the only way he's going to learn. I don't like that answer. So I'm asking for help on how do I help my kids to interact, not just in Norristown, because we travel. How do I teach him to properly interact with the police so that they don't lose their lives?
And I imagine You know, and there's really not a answer that can completely insulate people from their fears, no matter how unlikely it is that something bad's going to happen. Mom and dad are both going to worry. I think you tell your son to be respectful. You tell your son that the police officers, by and large, are out there to keep them safe. You tell them to have a conversation with the police officer, to introduce themselves, to shake hands. I think you tell your son to treat the police officer like they need to treat their teacher. Respectfully, look them in the eye, shake hands, tell them their name, to have a conversation when nothing's wrong. I think the mistake that we often make is we leave the police officer as some quasi-parent that's available if your kid's not doing it. I mean, how many times have, folks, please stop telling your kids, I'm going to get them if they do wrong in the grocery store. Could you stop doing that? Right? We are creating an environment in which we rely on the police to take care of problems that nobody should have called us for in the first place. If you introduce yourself, if you have your son introduce yourself to the police officer, I promise you it'll be a positive interaction. I promise you it will. If you wait until you need the police to come because something is going wrong, it's going to be anxious. It's going to be intense. It could be problematic. I think that we need to take control of the relationship that we have with our police like we're trying to do in the community. I want the police officers to be out there making sure that things go right, interacting when there is no crisis. Do the same thing with your children. Right? Bring them to us. Connect us with your kids. You know, which is also, right, you think, and I'll finish on this point, you think that policing is extremely difficult emotionally because we're routinely interacting with people who are mad at us. There's nothing that's better for my mental and emotional and spiritual health than talking to a child, right? I want to save your kid's life, but I also want your kid to save the life of a police officer who struggles every day to deal with the emotions that go along with the job.
And what I wanted to say, because it's on the same subject with the chief, maybe it's something that we can work together on with, whether it be the panel or whoever's involved, to answer this lady's question. Isn't just on friendly time. What happens when you get pulled over by a cop in a car? What should your child do? Right? And I think this is where you're at, you know, as far as whether you're putting your hands on the steering wheel. Me personally, I stick my hands out the window. You know, so it's things like that, how to act and how to respond when you're encountered by a police officer. And I think maybe a class or a forum or something like that needs to be developed as somewhere we can invite parents in that have these questions, or a training that may be even able to be taught throughout the school district. Maybe we can work out some with the school district to where we can teach these teenagers and things like that how to respond properly or appropriately as best you can when encountered with the officer or law enforcement, or it really comes down to positions of authority. So.
You know, there is a course that the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement teaches. It's called the Law and Youth, right? And they do have facilitators that are willing to come into school districts, communities to teach what happens when you are approached by a law enforcement officer. What you should say, how you should act, and those things, and how you should talk, right? I mean, and that answers you, Bob, what you were saying about getting a class or something like that. There's already something out there available.
Hi, my name's Ian Harrington. Basically represent West End Town Watch, and I've intertwined with Ms. Doris and Ms. Pat of the North End and the East End. My main suggestion is this. It's not so much a question. Is originally police officers were called peace officers, which meant to help create the peace among the community. Norristown is small next to our great big United States. There's things going on all over the place, good, bad, and indifferent. It shouldn't matter what color you are, what faith you worship, or any of that. What should matter is Norristown being a big family and teaching your children and the police that when they come together, they're friends, not enemies. And If children wouldn't run the other way when they see a police officer, that might save half the problem. And if police officers would step up and say, hi, I'm Officer, say, Smith, how are you today? That would help bridge that gap right there. And like I said, it doesn't matter who you are or where you came from. If you live in Norristown, you have a responsibility to represent Norristown and the community and stand behind your police department. Thank you.
Thanks for your comment. Okay, next question.
I'm Clairvoyant. Chief, you've done a really good job. You have created that bridge. But my question is, you're here. I believe some officers need to be here as well. You know, you're the top. You're the top. They need to be answering us, not just you. Because your perspective, and I sat down and talked to you on numerous occasions, your perspective is different from some of your officers. So I need, and I guess the community needs for them to be sitting here, you know, along with you. So they're hearing you tell us, you know, what you're expecting as the chief of police. You understand? And then you're hearing them answer the questions that the community has. Because it's not the same. It's not the same. You know, and that's one. And, you know, listen, it's going across America, you know, a lot of things going on. We came here to talk about Norristown. We came here to talk about Norristown, 19401. You know what I'm saying? Listen, I got a 10-year-old grandson that's scared to death. You understand what I'm saying? That, like, he didn't say the police officer is going to shoot me. He said they're going to kill me. That don't sit well with my spirit. Doesn't sit. You know, so I can answer that for him because guess what? And if I can, I put him on the phone because my brother's a police officer. But everybody doesn't have that luxury. That's number two. And number three, no disrespect intended to nobody on this panel, but there's some guys, some men that should be sitting on this panel or with some of you or without some of you that sit with these kids and talk to these kids. We got barbers sitting here that talk to these kids on a daily basis. They'll come to them and talk to them before they talk to anybody else. You understand what I'm saying? You got Jennifer, who was, you know, the coach of the girls' football team that will come and talk to them opposed to talking to anybody on this panel. So when we talk about putting a panel together, we gotta talk about going deep in the community. You know what I mean? You guys are in the community, some of y'all, but we gotta talk about going deep into the community. You understand what I'm saying? And bringing, you know, those people that can tell you what's really going on.
Yes.
What's really going on in this community. Why they're afraid of the police officer. You understand what I'm saying? So, like when we talk about this soapbox, because some of y'all use this as a soapbox. You use it as a soapbox. You know, I care, but right now, 19401 is my, you know, 19401 is where my heart is. 19401 is where I raised my kids at. 19401 is where my grandchildren are being raised at. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, the world is touching my heart because, it's making me have conversations with my grandkids that I shouldn't have had to have. So when we talk about sitting up here, we need to go deep in our community and put some of the people that can answer these questions. Because some of these questions you guys can't answer. You know, okay, you was out there 2 o'clock in the morning, but what happened? Why did you stop? Why did you stop? You know, I'm done.
Good points. Good points.
What's her name? Kid. Okay, I you know, it made me feel bad because I'm down the road. But I have family that live in Norristown for years. The Wilsons, Annie Kate, you know what I mean, on Penn Street. They my family. And I know, come on, I know so many people up here. I used to be up there all the time too, at Councilman, where my other family live at, the Williams family. But the thing of the matter is, you know, when we get invited to a panel discussion, in like another place, another township, or like I be up Pottstown a lot with Susan, and I mean, it's not like we on the soapbox. We come because we concern individuals about everybody and everywhere. No, I ain't taking personal. I'm explaining myself. I'm just explaining myself, right? But, I'm just saying that when you're a community activist and an advocate, and you deal with children on a daily basis as well, and just hear me out, right? That I understand what you're saying about the deeper part of the community coming out, right? But the thing of the matter is, where they at? You see what I'm saying? Where they at? It was on Facebook. It was on. No, I'm just saying the deeper part of the community. No, I'm just saying I'm not going. No, I'm just asking a question.
Hold on, listen real quick.
I'm just asking a question.
All right, listen up. Hold on there.
No,
Let's
we
maintain
shut
control.
up,
Let's
please. We
maintain
shut up.
control. I know. This isn't a battle. And understand, like Key, I wanted to answer some of your questions instead of battling back. I don't know if you're aware or if everybody's aware or not. The chief has, it's ComStat, right? I wrote down ComStat. It's a ComStat meeting, is exactly what you asked for. He does a public meeting, and the public is invited to when he disciplines or goes over, it's like at your job when you have an evaluation meeting. That's an open meeting for the public. Now, maybe we can do more as far as, and I'm saying we just speaking, I have nothing to do with it, but I will share it if it's out there. But what I'm saying is maybe we can do more to get that information or those notices out there more publicly so everybody can know about it, because the chief has asked me personally, which he has, what can we do more to get more people there? All right, so that answers one of your questions. And I agree wholeheartedly with you about digging into the deeper part of Norristown. Wholeheartedly, I agree. We did reach out to other people. Everybody doesn't like this venue to get up in front to speak. So people that we talked to, barbers, I did invite barbers. I did invite some element that I know has a right to be up here. And it's not their venue. So they let other people do what they do and they do what they do. Mention I talked Toro. That's why Toro came up here. He didn't just bombard. He was invited to be a part of this as well. So we had other people that were invited to be a part of this. So I agree with you, but I just wanted to explain that others were invited as well.
Man, a couple of things. One, you're right. And I think there's an African proverb that says if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So, speaking for myself, there are many things I'd like to do in this community, but if people don't trust me, or if certain people don't want to work together, then you can't get it done until there's trust and or until those people want to work together. One of the good things about tonight, for all of what was inadequate about tonight, lots of people up here decided they wanted to work together. Buck reached out to the police chief reached out to council, I reached out to him, so people were having conversations. This event was supposed to be at Simmons Park because we wanted to go to the street. And of course, it rained tonight, so we can't control the weather. Otherwise, we would have been out there with people who would probably never or rarely likely come into Borough Hall. I can also say, and I don't, and it was just an idea that I have spoken to the chief about doing forums in barbershops here in Norristown. So I think, generally speaking, the police department is willing to go into places they haven't normally gone and do things they haven't normally done. Because you're right, if we want to see deep change, they can't be talking to guys like me that have never had anything other than a traffic stop. I would 100% agree with that. And so we've got to continue to create those scenarios where the possibility exists of it happening. And in fact, if we're going to have, when I was walking late at night, and I would tell you the reason I stopped was because other people stopped And my late wife didn't think I should be out there all by myself. And so now I don't have anybody to be at home with the kids. So if you'd like to come watch my kids and other people want to walk, I don't have no problem being out there at midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, honestly. But one of the things guys said when we were out there late, and I'll finish with this, is they wanted cops to meet with them without the uniform on, for example. And that was a huge barrier at one point. They were like, no, we don't want you to come in with that uniform of authority, with that gun, you know, on your waist. And so I heard that. And that was the message I relayed, that guys would be willing to sit down and set it on their turf and on their terms, and in places where police didn't necessarily come in as authority persons. So we still obviously got work to do.
Just really quickly to what Kia said as far as where are those other officers, that was one of the questions I was sitting here writing down on my paper, because I respect the chief, I see him, he is the face, but we see him in this forum, but I'm sure there's officers out on the street working, but there's officers that are off, that if they cared enough, they would be here tonight on their own time, not getting paid. The ComStat meeting, I'm sure they're on duty or getting paid for that. They have to do that. But something like this, if they cared enough about what the community wanted, they would be here without, you know, the chief having to tell them to be here. They would just be here either in support of him or just like, I want to know what's going on. So I think that is really important. And then all these forums aren't going to mean anything if only the chief is sitting up here. Nobody's going to keep talking and coming. So if the chief, because we respect you, we know that you're going to get things done, but there's officers that are here that were before your leadership that are setting their ways.
I think that's 100% fair. But how many people are showing up at your job for free?
It's a different type of job. If you're a police officer, I think you're
I think the reality,
for me, I mean, it's hard for me to say. I was in the public defender's office. I live in this community. I help plenty of people. I'm not even in that office anymore. Anybody that comes to me at any time of day, that calls me at any time of day, I'm helping them. I'm not getting paid for it at all, but I'm assisting because I care about my community and the people that I grew up with. But that's it.
So certainly I'm not going to just allow anybody to indict police officers who, one, weren't indicted, right? This forum was set up by Councilman Millner. I was invited. They right? In reality, could I respond to the question? Would you permit me to respond to the question?
Yes, that's the question.
So they weren't invited, but to implicate them as not being committed to Norristown because they didn't show up to a forum that they weren't invited to is completely unfair. That reality of policing in Norristown is this force has done a tremendous job, and to conceptually lay blame at their feet because they're not here when they weren't even asked to be doesn't seem to make any sense.
I have one question. No, I gotta say that. We're gonna move on to our next question. These are important issues that we need to hash out, but we're gonna move on to our next question so we can get everybody heard.
Thank you, Roger. We're sitting up here talking. My name is Albert Johnson. I've been in this community for over 50 years. We're talking about police interaction or contact with civilians through different places in the country. But let us not forget, October 18th, 1985, my baby brother was killed by a Norristown detective in my bedroom. Let us not forget 1994, Mr. Golson was shot and killed up at Oak Sweet Street.
So back to here, Judge.
I said that to simply say that these things have hit us here in this town. 20, 30 years ago, I guess half those cops are now retired, dead, wherever they are. Judges to you, right? But on the same point, I just want to say that if you're in a community that say is 60% African American, then you can expect to get, for African Americans to get pulled over or stopped, whatever the case may be, because they're a majority of African Americans in that community. If you're in a community with 60, 70% white people, you expect expect more white people to get pulled over to get stopped because you're more populous than the African Americans. I don't understand this whole black on black crime. If my Italian brother did it, it would be called organized crime. The stereotypical ways that they do the black man. I got a 12-year-old son. I'm trying to teach this boy how to be respectful to authority, but at the same time stand your ground. You know, I think I'm a little bit overwhelmed inside because, you know, I've been around for a long time. I've been on both sides of the law. I've spent time in Greenford. I've switched the pitch up and done a lot of community events because I know what's right now. Chief, I guess what I'm basically saying is, it's time now for sensitivity training. They don't even use that word anymore. It just needs to be some cohesive, one-on-one. I don't even know what the right word I'm looking for. That's all I got.
Move on to the next question.
Half of the cops that's on the force, right? I don't need them. Y'all hear it?
Everybody can hear it?
Oh, all right, listen. Half of the cops that's in Norristown ain't from here, so they don't know what's going on, when they come through. They grab you up, they talk to you any way they want. Not you, because you already do what you do, but you know what they do. They say put your hand up, you put your hand up, and they still get slammed. Right? Then, look, we don't got no high rank in nobody, nowhere, anywhere. So what we do about that?
Well, I happen to be the police chief.
I mean, you're the only one. You're the rest of them. Where's Hadrick? Where's Leeds? Where's Mitchell? Where's all the white cops that lock everybody up? Where are they at? They're not here. It's not your fault. You said they ain't got to come here and get paid. I ain't getting paid, but you gonna book me if I go outside. And I'm gonna say, resisting arrest. That's the first thing y'all give us. Disorderly conduct. Automatic. I got one. I go to just in a little. Y'all give us probation quick. 98% of the conviction rate in Montgomery County. 98% conviction. How do you stop that?
Well, let me just say, I'm not responsible.
I didn't say you was. I'm asking you a question.
Well, it's not right. You're asking me a question. I'm not responsible. I'm not responsible. No police officer is responsible for an conviction.
That's not. They would be.
Well, the criminal justice system doesn't work that way. Police.
You had to stop me from what? Going at the other officer because he was being rude, like you told him. So you tell me what to do.
That's a good story. So you had a problem.
I have many problems, but you didn't answer me one question.
All right, let's give him a chance to answer.
So you had a problem with a police officer, and you had the opportunity to speak to me to rectify that problem.
Yes.
I believe I did.
Yeah, you did. I'm trying to where are they at? They need to see it. They're the cops. They're in there. Back in that building down there. You be in there.
Correct.
You're not walking around without your stuff on. Come on the block and stand out there with me. And I bet you the same white cops that's doing what they do, they say, you'll get against the wall. You put your hoodie on. If you look black and walk at you with a hoodie on, the first thing you think is robbing. You see a white boy with a hoodie on, oh man, he's a cop. That's all you can say.
Sure. So, right, and not to get into all the details of our interaction, because it would illustrate the other half of the issue, that many of the problems that the police deal with are life-threatening. And every time that we arrest or charge somebody with a crime is not a time in which it was inappropriate to do so. And our interaction, sir, was of the nature that we needed to be in touch with you when we were in touch with you. If you expect the police to apologize when we're doing what we need to do to keep the community safe, it's not going to happen. No. Day after day after day, we've got to make these tough decisions. Occasionally, maybe much more often than we should, we make the wrong call. But night after night, and in your case in particular, because I'm intimately familiar with what happened, we made the right decision. I'll stand by it.
I don't believe that. Y'all still ain't telling me who shot the dude.
All right, we're going to move on to the next question.
Plains. My whole family, this is where we're from, and I believe Norristown. I am proud to be from Norristown. So my question to you, Chief, is that I understand that earlier you were saying, we can't let the problems going on in other places affect us. So I'm gonna give you 3 instances where they have it here in Norristown. I'm from Willow Street, 1000 block of Willow Street. Everyone knows not a particular good part of Norristown, but that's where I'm from. I was on Willow Street, talking to my brother, sitting in my car. He's sitting at my mother's house. And I talked out, I'm leaving, we shake hands like brothers do. I got followed from Willow Street all the way up to Brown and Powell Street. And I was upset by it, so I pulled over my car, I stopped at the stop sign and got out and went to the officer and asked him why he was following me. Got no answer. I got another situation, my sister was being attacked. I go down in my sister's defense, the police was there, and they tell me I was going to somebody's property, I had to back up. I understood that. I backed up down the sidewalk, but I kept saying I need to get my sister out of the house. An officer came down in my face and told me to get off his property. I said, I'm on the sidewalk. And he kept pointing in my face. I said, officer, get out of my face. He said, do something. Now, if I would have reacted, 2 things could have been happening. I'd have went to jail, or I'd have been dead. A third instance, I'm very active in my church. I've been active in this community for the last 12 years, over 12 years. I started coaching track with Perry Simpson, old president of city council. And I had my now, I have my own track team now. I'm very active in the community. And in my church, young little girl from my church got jumped. She called, mom called, my wife and I and a couple other people, we went down looking for her. I rode past the girls that jumped her, and when I got to the scene, the girl that got jumped was in that police car. The lieutenant had came out, every cop in Norristown was there. I talked to the lieutenant, said, can I speak to her? She has health issues, I just want her to calm down, and her mom meet her at the police station. The lieutenant said yes. The cop that was guarding the car, he let me talk to her, but then other police started coming over, and he got hostile with me, started hollering at me, cussing at me. So in return, I get upset and speak to him the way he was speaking to me. So I had a woman cop, not gonna call her name out. She had her hand on her gun cussing at me. And I had another cop walking at me with the nightstick in his hand. So I kind of step back and I pull off and I go talk to the cop with the nightstick. He says to me, so why would you come at me with a nightstick? I was talking to this cop peacefully until the Navy cop showed up. He said, well, I'd rather come at you. He said, firstly, I see where I'm coming from. I see a hostile situation and 2 police officers. So though I have to make sure you're safe, I also have to make sure they're safe. I get it. As my aunt said, my uncle's a cop. And I look to my uncle, my young son right there, little Mark, wants to grow up and be a cop. I respect you guys. So I said, okay, I understand and I respect the fact that you'd rather have a nice kid come at me instead of a gun. Now, look where I'm standing from. I was peaceful with this cop. This cop come over, she gets hostile, so he gets hostile. She has her hand on her gun. You're walking me at a nice day, so how am I supposed to feel? They obviously feel threatened for no reason. Am I not supposed to feel threatened? So my question is, how can I keep encouraging my son who wants to be a police officer to reach for that dream when here in Norristown, we are not respected by the police officers?
Good question. Good question. So I think that you encourage your son to be a police officer if you're truly interested in change. That's why I'm the police chief. Because I want a police department that doesn't generate those types of stories. And if you are somebody who experiences something like that, then you got to come and you got to let me know. You got to be willing to stand up for yourself, stand up for your young son, and tell the story so that I can do something about it. If you are victimized by the police and I don't know about it, there's nothing I can do about it. I think that you continue to encourage your son to be a police officer because that is lies at the core of the issue that we're here talking about. Not enough black and brown men and women want to be the police. We need a different set of viewpoints in government in general, in particular in our police departments. So keep having that conversation. But then also, don't wait until we have a forum to talk about nationwide tragedies to bring these issues up. If something happened to you, whenever it happened, do something about it.
I spoke to the police officers right downstairs, the white police officer apologized because he understood where I was coming from. But the black woman police officer, she told me I was upset because she embarrassed me in front of my friends. And I spoke to the lieutenant and it was the fault.
Well, the chief has answered this question, and I think it's kind of hard for me to get specifics about this case right now. But I just want to point out that anybody, I believe the chief's door is open, and the police department is open. If you have complaints, to definitely make them know. Yes.
Hi, my name is Akina. I know most of the majority of the panel. I'm born and raised in Norristown. I'm married to a black man with 3 boys. As I do have on my phone, an incident when you guys pulled my child over and I videotaped it. And I got the smart ass answers from the cops on the videotape, as I already told Buck about. Do you really know how disrespectful some of your officers really are?
I assume the question is rhetorical, but if you're actually asking me to respond to that question,
Yes, I'm asking you.
I know what is reported to me by the community.
But the problem is I'm going to hold you right there. If you go and file a complaint against a police officer, you have to file a complaint with another police officer.
Right.
Where does that go?
It goes to me.
It doesn't go to you. You know why? Because when I filed the police report against the officer, where did it go? Not to you. You pushed it off on someone else.
I'll offer my open door policy to you. Come on into my office with your video and let me evaluate if the right thing happened and what needs to happen.
That's perfectly fine with this, but again, where's my police report? It went somewhere else.
Well, I thought that's what we're talking about.
No, there's too many different incidents with the police department.
I got time.
I got time too. That's why I'm here.
Okay, come see me.
I think we're going to
Oh, I definitely go see you. I mean, I'm only on probation because of your police department.
Well, we can move on.
Never been in trouble a day in my life, ever.
Well, how'd you get on probation?
Because your police officers, 5 of them, 6 different police reports, and they couldn't even process a video.
Okay, well, apparently you've been in trouble for something.
Nope. Have I ever been in trouble, Aaron? No.
Well, we're going to get to the next question, but also we've already established that.
Well, again, how do you know that your police officers are very disrespectful?
He wants to see your tape, and he's going to deal with that. So we'll move on.
You can definitely contact
You
me
can
if
contact.
necessary. And we can go to the chief together. I'll make sure you get a.
I'll be down there tomorrow.
My name is Rosalie Jones. I'm a mother and a grandmother in the borough of Norristown. I've been here for a very long time. I do in fact have a question. And my question is, how committed could a police officer really be if they have no personal investment in the community? I feel very strongly that the same as with any level of government in any city and in any state, usually your police department is your community is represented by others who live in your community. And I've been here when there were in fact police officers who lived here. But my question is, I don't even know how to present it. But anyway, am I unreasonable in asking why there is not a criteria that to be a police officer in the borough of Norristown, that one must live here? Am I unreasonable in asking that question? Because I know that there are other positions in the borough of Norristown where it is in fact a criteria that you must be a resident here. And if you want to see, and I say this to insult no one, but if you want to see the Norristown Police Department, many of them, the officers, moving fast, not necessarily when you call them, but moving fast, you get on Main Street and you see the deputy sheriffs waving them out so they can get into traffic and, excuse my language, and get the hell out of Norristown and race back to the comfortable corners of the rest of the county or other counties, because they kind of view, I feel like some of them view residents here as in a condescending manner. Well, I've been here, I did my job, now let me get the so-and-so out of this town, as if that Norristown was less than where they're positioned or where they live. And I'm not going to be long, I'm going to wrap it up with this. this. It was only 2 years ago that I called. I called because I had a neighbor concern. 2 police officers responded. They were courteous, and that response was prompt. Then they came into the house, and I needed to show them a particular area of the house that was relevant to what was going on. Everything was fine until one police officer happened to glance up and see a picture that I have on my wall of Muhammad Ali and the Beatles. The Beatles are stretched out, some of you may be familiar, and Muhammad Ali is standing there in the champion stance. And the police officer happened to look up at that picture, and suddenly, he was not even the same police officer that entered my house. And with that, I'll wrap it up, and I appreciate everything every last one of you are doing. It takes a lot for me to even get out to get into this environment. You understand? Because I do have some PTSD issues from 30 years of military service. And I also thank you all for the way that you received my son, Hakim Jones. I didn't wait for one, but I'll wait patiently for the answer. That, am I wrong in wishing or thinking that it should be a criteria that a police officer should live in the borough of Norristown to police in the borough of Norristown? That's my question.
So, anyone, I mean, does someone have a response to the question of, I think, of police living in the community in which they serve? I know, speaking to Hank Cisco, he told me that long ago, that was a little Norristown, but I think the demographics of how these areas work now makes that more difficult. But if anybody wants to speak to that, please.
There was a fact. So at one time, within the Home Rule Charter and the Borough Code, there were residency requirements on a variety of municipal government positions, including that of police officer. Those requirements over the years were largely lifted because we could not fill positions. And so it became a literal, practical reality of being able to recruit people, not just as police officers, but a variety of positions. Now, having said that, there are people throughout the municipality, throughout municipal government, who in fact live in the municipality, right? We have senior departmental directors who live in the municipality. We have police officers. We have paid firefighters. But it is the case, and I would tell you the truth, that I don't think we could fill every position in municipal government, and we could not fill every police. It's a matter of opinion, and so it is my opinion that we could not hire every position we need to hire with the qualifications we want to hire with if we required residency. I mean, that even a city as large as Philadelphia, the 5th largest city in the United States, with a much larger population to pull from for any position, has modified residency requirements for multiple positions. Yes, ma'am, but I'm saying I disagree.
I think that question has been answered as best as it can by Councilman Millner. We're going to move on to the next question.
My name is Shafan. I was born and raised in Norristown. I respect, all y'all where you're at, positions, etc. My question is, and with everything y'all saying, I got the same response for everybody. We need communication in all these situations and everything that's going down. It's communication that is needed. We have a lot that we're saying out here that I don't know if y'all hearing everything we're saying and comprehending it and all that. So I want to know when we're meeting again. When's the next time we're going to do something as a community? I mean, with them, without them, but I mean, when we're going to meet again. We said, it's a short time, and we set this meeting up. That's why officers aren't here. Let's set another one. Let's have them come out and if that's who we want to talk to. Let's invite them. Because y'all have time, take some time. Let's set up another meeting. We need to talk again. He was saying, Chief, you were saying, it's hard as an officer to work a beat to which 4 young men are on the corner. You don't know them. You don't know what's going to happen at night. Introduce yourself to them. And say, I'm here tonight. talk to your son. Let him know to respect officers. Are we going to talk to the officers and let them know that some of us have disabilities, to give us a second to talk to them? You know, to come and say, hey, I'm officer such and such. Just like we have to come and say, hey, I'm Shafan, how you doing, etc. We have to do that too. I'm not saying we don't. Like I said, it's communication. We all have to communicate. The young, the older, the parents. You know, we're talking about this guy that's out at 1 or 2 a.m., but we ain't asked why he out that day. Why his mom got, you know, parents let him out that day in the first place. We're saying we don't know what he's doing, but are we want an officer to get that man with a gun instead of the boys hitting the stop sign? Well, if he knew them boys that they were just going to hit that stop sign, then he wouldn't know where to be that night. You know, if he was familiar with the people around there, you don't have to be from here to be familiar with somebody. You can talk, communicate. We have to communicate to be familiar with somebody. You don't have to grow up there and went to school with them. You have to talk and get to know them. And we need more meetings so that we can do that in college communities where everybody in here. I never, you know, I don't know everybody in here, but I agree with some of the things they're saying. And if I had the time to talk to them, we can have some deep intellectual conversation. But you don't know that unless you go out and talk to somebody. You have to talk, you have to open up. I keep asking, I'm 24, and I keep asking all my friends and everybody I meet, why is it that we walk down the street and walk past somebody and we can't say hi? Why is it that we don't communicate and say hi? That can save somebody's life by saying hi. Instead, we got our heads down walking past each other. Why? Because we all care and love about this community. They don't even say it. Sometimes they don't even say it like that. We're going back to the parenting and back to, you know, everything in the community. You know, you said single home, everything like that community. You should, if somebody you can walk down the street, talk to, you have friends and stuff. We should be able to be a community together with the cops. Like I said, they need to come communicate with us just like we have to reach out and communicate with them. We have to reach to each other. So, my question, I guess, in the end of all that is when's the next meeting start? That's right. Put it in my schedule. That's everybody.
I definitely, that's a good idea, and that's something we should work on.
Thank you.
Sorry about that, late, but I just want to touch on a little bit of basic about, you know, everybody communicating, you know, as far as the cops not saying hello or speaking or interacting with everybody. The other day, I'm going to give you a little story. Me and my wife and one of my sons, we were over at Penn Lake. Power line came down, and, you know, Laura Glad when the cops came, and so we were there for about 2 hours. Never thought I would have the best conversation ever in my life with 4 police officers. You understand what I'm saying? They were talking about, you know, trouble, all good things. You know what I mean? And that right there made me feel so special because you never get a chance to talk to a police officer. Except my mom and my papa, they both been in the law enforcement for over 42 years. You know, and that right there made me very comfortable as we talk what was going on, you know, like as far as, you know, general life. It's not all about a neighbor arrest or this or that. They done broke it down about their family, my family, and that's what we need a lot more with Norristown police officers. When the chief came up, rolled up on the scene up there in Lower Gladwin, know what he said? He told us, he said, I tell my guys to go out every day, interact with the community. Don't go out there, stop in Millner, oh, you got a $25 ticket. I'm gonna go and arrest you for that. You tell that person there, hey, look, you got a $25 fine, go down there and put something on it and let him go on his way. You don't sit there and arrest him, you don't know what that person had on his mind or what's going on through his life at that day. He could be struggling, anything could be going on. And all you're doing is making matters worse when you sit there and you're nagging for $25 or whatever the case may be. So, you know, small story short, when I talked with the chief and the rest of his guys out there, and he's breaking everything down to us and said, how long have you been doing it? I said, well, I've been doing it since I've been 18 years old. He said, wow. I said, but at the same time, I was on the wrong side of the street too. But so, with this all being said, I learned from talking with some of the Norristown cops is good. So when I'm out there talking with Lower Gladwin cops, we talk with a level head, you know what I mean, as we knew each other for over 20, 30, 40 years. And this is what Norristown need to do, you know, you can't just go out there and be ball breakers or anything like that. You gotta interact with your community and let them know, you know, hey, look, I'm not here to hurt you, I'm not here to harm you.
I'm here to help you. If anything on your mind you need to talk about. And a lot of people don't understand, with our community, a lot of these kids have problems. They don't got the father figure there to talk to them about these problems. So believe it or not, they look up to you guys in the blue. You gotta stop wearing that, your badge on your chest with so much authority. You know what I mean? And it's hard to say. It's so much to say and put out there in a small time. You understand what I'm saying? My whole point is, just have your guys out there in the community interact with everybody. Just ask them, hey, what's going on? Anything I can help you with, or what's on your mind, or whatever. It's a lot of things to be said, but it's just hard, when you got guys coming down and want to grab you and you stand on the corner. There's nothing for no one to do in Norristown. You know what I mean? Like, you go to Parkside. I'm down there all the time. You wanna know why I'm down there? They took a field that had over maybe 5-6 acres of land. They put a fight thing there for the kids to do. Stuff like that, you gotta do it. Y'all building all these buildings around, all y'all doing is cramping more people on top of people, and this is why you got a high rate of crime value. You know what I mean? It got to stop somewhere for you guys to come and interact with everybody, and then the community, it'll get back. It'll get back on track. Prime example, yesterday we down Oak Street Park, the cop pulled up, asked me, hey, Toro, who's running the basketball league? I said, fine, I had about 75 people at my truck. They all was scared because they thought the cops was coming to say something to them. That's how much intimidation that Norristown has. You understand what I'm saying? And it shouldn't be like that. I know I'm jumping from place to place, but there's a lot that I want to say. And what I want to say is I may ruffle a couple feathers. So I'm gonna just keep it short, like I said, man. Interact with the community. How your cops come out there and talk to these people? Hey, I'm not here to hurt you. I'm not here to bust your ball. I'm just trying to get you on the right track. If this needs to be done, just go out and handle it. It's just a lot on the plate. It's going to take time to work everything out. So let's just get it together, man. Get these guys out there interacting.
I think just step in. We're running a little short on time, so I think everybody can agree that more interaction with the rank and file, one of those things that we all agree should be happening, we should implement. We have 4 people in line, so we're going to take 4 more questions, and then we're going to wrap things up with a summation by the panelists.
I thought you was about to cut me off.
For a second.
Chief, how you doing? Unfortunately, you're carrying a brunt of the burden for some things that you probably, in a grand scheme of things, you don't have total control over. You do have control over how you have your cops operate and police the area. So I'm not going to come up here and say you should do this, you should do that, but here's some thoughts. Have cops walk the beat. Have them get out of their car, walk a block or 2 or 3 or 5. Talk to the residents, talk to the people when they see the kids out in the street. Pat them on their back, shoot a game of basketball with them if they have a court outside. It's the little things. We've had this discussion before, so it's not. One of the best things that happened at the police department is they put police on bicycles because there's a little bit more human interaction whenever you're on a bike. There's no metal in between you and the individuals as you patrol. I think those kind of little things are very, very good. I think also what we have to do as a community, I'm going to say a couple of things that the community may not like. Don't hate me for it.
It's supposed to be a question.
Watch your mouth.
No, this is you preaching to us.
No, but I am.
Let's get to the question.
There's a question, but I waited a long time to get this mic, so I'm going to say a couple things. I think what the community has to also do is play their role in helping the police be better police, right? You can't always be confrontational with the officer whenever they're coming out. I'm not saying that always happens. And I'm not saying the cop is not always confrontational with the individual. But there needs to be a two-way street here. And I think a lot of times that does not exist. I've been on ride-alongs before where people didn't see me, but I seen them. And I seen some of the actions that some of the people had whenever the police were patrolled. So it is a two-way street. Every cop ain't good, every cop ain't bad. Every citizen is not good, every citizen is not bad. I think there needs to be much more dialogue because we don't have the conversation enough about. My charge to you would be to have those conversations with people in their environment more often, more frequently. Have your officers be part of that conversation, right? It can't be a situation where it's a yelling match back and forth, but actually have a good dialogue and coming up with an actual plan of what you're going to do. And my one question to you would be this: what are you doing right now to help your police be better police as they work with the community? Not the ComStat meetings, I'm talking about regular kind of grassroots types of things that your police officers are doing on a daily basis to work with the community.
Sure, certainly a fair question. And you can't exclude ComStat meeting. I have dozens and dozens of systems and structures in place to make sure that the interactions in the police department are what they should be. So it's a process of modeling the behavior that I want to see from the police officers, holding the supervisors accountable for the way that they lead the department. We spent 2.5 hours last Friday having an extensive discussion about how we're interacting with the community, how the national events impact the mindset of the police officers. Are we doing the right things in guiding the department in a way that it appropriately treats the public? We have a written strategy that's available for anybody that clearly lays out the expectations of behavior and the principles and values that we're going to live by as police officers. It's a process of constant conversation and maintaining a level of discipline that it's going to take to run a police department the way it's supposed to be run.
And I'm sorry, what is your feeling about having a citizens review board to deal with situations with regards to the police and the residents?
So I answer to, and I know that this doesn't directly give you a yes or no, but I answer to a civilian group of people called municipal council that's elected by Norristown. Ultimately, if I was going to lose my job, it would be up to the elected officials that Norristown puts in place. I think the notion that we need another bureaucratic structure to monitor the police department hides behind the reality that the council is in place and it was put in place by Norristown. If you don't like what we're doing, tell your councilman. Right? If you don't like the police, what the police department does, then talk to your council members, and they're the ones that talk to me. So I don't think we need another bureaucratic structure between me and the council.
I just have one quick question to Chief again. I just can't reiterate enough how we appreciate you being here answering these questions. If they don't rise to these expectations you set, these officers don't rise to these expectations you set for them, how are they held accountable? And I'm only asking that, again, from being in the PD's office and in the court system, I know there are officers on your force, and most recently there was an opinion written by a judge talking specifically about a particular officer and his dishonest nature. And that has taken the Montgomery County the Norristown criminal justice, all the crimes that he has been the affiant on or the officer is now being looked at because of his dishonest nature. So how are these officers being held accountable? I mean, he's on your force, but there's really no need, I don't want to say no need for him, but there's really nothing he can do at this point because his credibility is shot. So how is he held accountable? Or how are these officers held accountable that aren't rising to your expectations?
Sure, that's a good question. And clearly it'd be a bad idea to speak about a specific case. But I would challenge anybody to put on the table any opinion by a judge that occurred based on behavior since I've been in police. Right? It hasn't happened. How do we hold the police officers accountable? The notion that you can hold people accountable through the discipline system is a complete myth. You can't do it. Right? If you rely on the discipline system in a police department to guide your force, you're going to be unsuccessful. I hold them accountable through the leadership process. If every single day somebody's going to have a conversation with you about your behavior, and if your behavior doesn't rise and meet the expectations that are put in place, and without fail, there's going to be an anxious conversation with your boss, you're not going to behave that way. You're not going to behave in a way that's inconsistent with the mission of the organization. So we're just relentless with our leadership approach, and we have the appropriate structures in place to make sure that people are behaving the way they should, and to make sure I'm having the conversations that I need to when they're not.
Next question.
I just want to say I thank all you guys involved for hosting the forum. I appreciate just having the opportunity for us to be able to talk and build about these different concerns, because it's definitely a major concern in the community. I have to reiterate, I guess, revisit and ask the question. I'm not sure if you can do that today, but I know I conduct business and I use my phone a lot. I got a calendar, so I really need to know, Chief, is there some way that you can maybe tell us today? I'm trying to push it a little bit, but I want to know if there's some way that you can tell us today if we can have another forum with additional officers around that are actually providing services in the community. I know there has to be people out there to do their job, but there has to be some officers that can come here and be here along the panel along with yourself. We can't just rely on just you to be the voice of reason for every individual, because that wouldn't be fair. That wouldn't be fair to you. So if we could just have, I don't know if you can look at your calendar and see and give us a day where maybe we can provide the next forum with a few officers along this panel. Also, it just keeps coming back. The standard has to rise. It has to rise for law enforcement. I mean, I know we're all human, but at the same time, there's a lot of different professionals all throughout this room. I can't act the way I want to act when I'm on my job. I mean, I provide behavioral services with our youth in the community, so I have to remind myself that child might not have the same education I had, or that even their parent might not have the same education, or the same benefits that I have. So I got to conduct myself in a certain manner, in a certain way when I'm interacting with that individual at that particular time. Especially in law enforcement, you definitely should have certain coping skills and be able to cope with your own anger and attitude, and be able to adjust to the particular situation at that particular time. You're holding a weapon, your arm. So it's definitely important for you to be able to cope and be able to better manage your anger and your attitude with the different stuff that's going on out here. So that definitely, I have to reiterate that definitely should be something that is brought to the forefront, especially in our community, that, I can't go with everybody just being human. Like, they need to know they have to rise to a higher standard, especially when they wear that badge. But just going back to, is there some way that we can circle a date at a time where we get another meeting and have these officers here? I appreciate your time. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
All right, I'm Daniel Whistler from Norristown. I'm sure a lot of you know me on Facebook and wherever my rants and stuff. But anyway, I got a question. It seems from Norristown to West Norton and back, we're all being watched. I noticed this because I've had my share of police too in the past. When I go from here to West Norton, years ago, I used to be pulled over because I'm from Norristown. If you're coming from West Norton, you're going to Norristown, they're being watched because they know you're going to Norristown, you live there. So, what I'm saying is there like a conspiracy or something going on here?
We're trying to find all the white people that did something wrong.
I'm saying everybody. Because I had people tell me because I got hair, because I'm being put over. I ain't cutting my hair. This is me, and this is what you're going to get. Now, is it true or false? I mean, I know it's true. Not to cause some kind of ruckus here, but I know by the United States Constitution, In my opinion, any official in Norristown should be from Norristown. That's my opinion. That's all I gotta say.
I'll let Councilman Millner think about it.
Real quick, just more officers will need to be involved in conversations and forums. But in terms of how this event evolved, and I'll take the lion's share of the responsibility and blame for that. I imagine having, honestly, a more focused Black Lives Matter conversation. And in particular, one of the issues I personally wanted to get at was just the issue of black manhood. And the issue of black manhood when you wear the badge and when you're the black man interacting with someone who does wear the badge. And so, literally, we had a panel where, other than Ms. Hughes, we were all black males. And that, the initial thinking around the idea was birthed for that. And as people talked, they wanted to broaden they didn't want to ignore the issue of race, but they wanted to broaden the issues around generally cops and community and issues of policing. And so, but I had a passion, given the officer-involved killings recently of Philando Castile and Alton Sterling, to wrestle, to struggle with this issue of, what does it mean to be a black, what does it mean to be a black man in America right now, given what's happening? So, obviously, as you know, that was not the focus of tonight's discussion, but it was the initial impetus as certain black men started talking to one another. Obviously, to Daniel's point, it is not just African American men, and it is not just men who have concerns about how they interact with police. And many in our community of different races and gender expressions have concerns about interactions with the police. So if anyone feels disrespected because I wanted to initially deal with Black Lives Matter, you can talk to me, you can Facebook message me, but that's how the panel ended up in this iteration. But I would absolutely agree in general that while we have great regard and respect for Chief Talbot, yes, we've got to get down to the rank and file, we've got to get down to the captain and the lieutenants and the sergeants and the patrol officers, men and women, and have more involvement from them in discussion.
Councilman Jones?
I also want to add on how this whole thing came about. As you watch the headlines and you see things happening in the community, you see kids spray painting on the courts after the police, you see the tensions that are starting to climb, you see the social media fights, you see people just getting at each other all day, every day. I don't think it's a matter of who starts the event, it's a matter of who's involved. We do have a notion that many people will sit back and they'll wait for someone to do something. In this case, you had a councilman, you had a community person who thought it was necessary to connect with the school district, to connect with the chief of police, and to connect with some other folks in the community to do this. So I don't think it was intentionally staged to have a councilman up here, to have a community person, to have a chief. I think the door is always open in this community to anybody. It takes a lot to sit in these seats up here, and it takes a lot to put yourself on these cameras. And there are a lot of people who aren't comfortable doing it. So to defend, why some people aren't up here, I think there's always an opportunity for them to be up there. There's always an opportunity for them to be in the front. And there's also an opportunity for them to organize stuff like this. I literally broke up a fight 2 weeks ago when about 30 men were playing basketball. A fight with middle school kids. All right, I had 2 adults come over to help me with that. So to be in these positions of power, to go through these voting processes, to learn both sides of the fence, I think more of us need to get involved. More of us need to take that step. And you know what? You are going to be on the radar. You are going to be watched when you're coming from Chaps going into Norristown. But it's important, and until many of us get into these seats and start taking on these positions, we're going to have these conversations all the time. And these seats are going to be filled by the same people running this town and making the decisions for everybody. So it is a fear, and it is a challenge to take these kind of steps and organize these type of things. But until many of us jump in these positions, we're going to have the same struggle all the time.
We're going to move on to our last question of the night.
So I came under the same premise that we'd be speaking about Black lives and things of that nature, and I sat here and listened to everybody speak. One of the questions that came up for me as a caseworker for OCY, and also I work with psychiatric patients, a lot of times we have to learn to, as Wayne said, hold back on our biases. So what have you done as a chief or as the judicial system in general, because it's not just cops, it's people in general, to train and teach cops to not only deal with their biases, but as you said, the coping skills and things of that nature, because that's part of, I know my job is no matter who I'm in front of, whatever I believe, I have to put those aside and address the issue. So what are you doing for that nature, but that also goes for the community. What are you guys doing to dispel your biases so that you guys can have articulate conversations with cops, with people who have issues? So I guess that's
So, you know, that's one of the big issues in policing right now is to not only to acknowledge the implicit biases which we're most often confronted with when we're talking about these issues, that fortunately we, quote unquote, evolved to the point where the biases aren't explicit, although they're still out there to some degree. But we challenge it head on. We recognize that there is a legacy that we attach ourselves to when we become the police that wasn't always honorable. We have conversations, training, there's coaching and leadership discussions that are ongoing to make sure that we're not treating people unfairly. I think that if you really get to the heart of what it means to be a good police officer, you're not going to fall into these traps that we're seeing on video over and over again. I think that the issue becomes, one, everybody has a bias. Don't kid yourself in thinking that what you're talking about is, when you're looking at biases, is a problem within policing. We all have our own beliefs about this group is this way, this group can't drive, this group can't jump, this group has whatever. So we all have our own biases. The question becomes, are you behaving in a way that your bias is adversely impacting somebody's life? Right? And we have those conversations over and over and over again in the police department. We have training that deals with those issues. It's something that we're very mindful of.
All right, we're going to wrap up, but we have one more person at the podium. I know I said we were doing 4 more, but it's, we're going to wind it down right after this. I believe he's the last person in line where he is now.
Thank you for making this exception. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kirk Berry, and just piggyback right off what you said, I have one simple question. You guys are having conversations, trainings, counseling, and doing all of these things to make sure cops don't treat people a certain way. And so what I'm not hearing tonight is there is a measuring tool that those things are working. So my question to anyone up here who can answer it, is there a way for the community to get something dropped on their door that has 5 simple questions? And those questions could be, has an officer just walked by and greeted you and asked you how your day is? Have you seen an officer on your block playing with the kids or doing what the gentleman over there said? Has the officer who pulled you over and knocked on your door explained why they were interacting with you or accusing you of what they accused you of? And then whatever the other 2 questions are. But the whole point of this is that once that's circled or it's a 1 through 5, it's kind of like when you stay at a hotel. How are we doing? How is our service? And then that can be submitted back in, dropped off here. But every month we could say the police's interaction for just asking how you were doing, they only got a 40% this month. And then what would that do? That would let you know the dollars that you're spending on doing this counseling and this skills training and all those things, if it's even going to use. And that's something that could be reported on monthly. And that's something that we could all see, whether those dollars that help those people are working or helping those officers are working time. So my question is, can something like that, because you already said we don't need a bureaucratic way of getting people on the force or off the force, is there, how are we doing surveys? That the community would then be held accountable. If they don't fill it out, then they really don't want any solutions. But if they filled it out and they handed them in, and then we talked about how your customer service is each month, if it's increasing, that could be a solution that can help what we're talking about tonight. And I don't know who would put that in place.
So it's already done. It's already done.
Okay.
So we've contracted with Montgomery County Community College to do exactly what you're talking about. And then, I'm glad you brought up the point of if the community doesn't respond, then they're responsible.
Can you explain that one? How is it done? Because it sounds like they don't know.
So if the community, to piggyback on your point where you said the community doesn't respond, then there's some responsibility for not carrying them. We've been working with Montgomery County Community College for over a year now to do exactly what you're asking for. I'm yet to encounter a survey where logistically you can do it every single month. But we've worked with them to create a survey to look at the level of fear in the community with the level of satisfaction with the Norristown Police Department, and we're waiting on that feedback to see exactly that, how are we doing.
Okay, so
the survey is being done completely independent of the police department. A professor from Montgomery County Community College and Westchester University have taken over this project and gotten it out physically at different locations and online.
We're not being disrespectful, Chief, but the residents of Norristown haven't seen this survey.
So you have seen it, and so how does it get to you? Is it paper or is it?
Nextdoor.com. Nextdoor.com. It's a social media.
It's not physical.
She said nextdoor.com, and so Chief, when you said, so when Chief says that he's not sure how we would do this every month, one of the things that I'm thinking of to do it every month is you're just trying to do it in a couple blocks, just a couple sections, and just randomly do it. And because everyone does not have a computer on their home, or those that have a computer,
And it's not just computers.
I'm sorry, I wasn't done.
Right? I'm sorry, Tim, never mind. It's not just computers. It's a paper survey. It's online. It's something that we've instituted in the police department to get exactly what you're looking for. So, is it perfect? No, it's not. Is there another way to reach out to smaller portions of the community? That's a viable idea. It's certainly something that we do.
Okay, wait a minute. I want to know about this survey. How can I get one? How can I let other people get one? Everyone I'm listening to, they don't know about. They didn't know about.
And I think this would be another, a great opportunity for the police to interact with the community as far as maybe, I don't know, I think Kurt said just to go to a couple blocks or a couple block radius, because in the grand scheme of things, if there's a shooting or there's something that happened on the block, the cops are knocking on every door on every block, trying to get answers. But then they want us to help with answers, but then they don't come out for anything else. So even if to take that opportunity to come out with a sheet with 5 questions, nothing fancy, just 5 questions. Here this is, drop it back off at the police station in the drop box. Maybe every week a couple officers do a couple blocks. Something that'll get them out there as an incentive and also learn about what the community thinks, without having to have these forums where it's beat up on the chief day because it's not fair. So.
Let me just say, Chief Talbot said how we don't necessarily need another civilian authority because council is that civilian authority. And I think this would be a perfect opportunity for council to exercise its authority and to understand that project and that program and to see how it can be done better so that it can reach more people.
On that note, we're going to conclude. I do want to give, before taking my panel and sending them home, I do want to give them a chance to express an opinion. Yeah, well, I mean, some people might want to talk, some people might not. So we're going to give everybody a chance to wrap things up and surmise things that they would like. And we can start.
have a follow-up meeting with others. I know Mr. Pierce spoke earlier, we can make a date for that. Hopefully within the next, a week or so, just to see if that's possible. Just to figure out ways we can have others in the meeting, but also community members, if they want to be part of it, please, reach out to Councilman Millner, Buck, or myself, Councilman Jones as well. But Mr. Millner, you organize this, so we're going to put it on you, like you said. If we want to get others involved, but we're hoping that she'll take the lead in that. Also, we're looking at ways to continue to look to ways to diversify the department. Like I said, we need more blacks and Latinos on our force here. I'm not sure if council there's laws or different things into looking into that, or just ways to explain what you can do, what you cannot do to get more people. Chief, you spoke about sensitivity training, cultural sensitivity, things you're doing. Hopefully that continues within your department. I know individuals are asked as well about the option of having police live here in the community. At least give people the facts, where it's happening, where it's not happening, so people can understand, that that's possible, or if it's not possible. Because when we just say, oh, it works there, it doesn't work there, that's not realistic. We want to see numbers of success rates or the failures of, so people can see, as well as increase people to get involved and want to be part of the police department and live local. Besides that, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to be part of the panelists and Black Lives Matter.
I also first want to thank everybody just for coming out here. Period. That's big and that's important for all of you that showed up. To culminate real quick, as well as Marlon did, as far as why this was, and how this happened, and who's here. This would have been my Facebook page live down in the chief's office with me and the chief, if that's how it was going to be, because that's how I originally wanted it. But then I heard Marlon was having the same thought, because I got pissed off when I went to our basketball courts on Oak Street and there was spray paint all over our courts. F the cops and this and that. So I stayed out there one night with a school board member and a couple local citizens cleaning it up, because irrelevant of how we were feeling, why would we tear up our own stuff? And I was angry about what was going on across the world, yes, and I know our kids, so I also knew we needed to talk. So I reached out. This equated it and came up to be what it is, and you're all here. But people that act, people that watch. That's what happens. I do what I can do, when I can do it, the best I can do it, period. I'm not a sit-back person. I invited other people to be a part of this. It's for some people and it's not for some people. I don't hold anybody against, I don't hold that against anybody that it's not for. I'm gonna speak directly to Kia. Kia, last year, when there was a attempted abduction at Eisenhower Middle School, you didn't wait for nobody. You put it up, you said, I will be on that corner, right? And for those of you that didn't hear, right, because Kia's an action person. I was at work, I couldn't get there. Mayo does things because he does them. He's an action person. Maybe you want to say this, I'm an organizer. We organize this. That's what we do. For people to come here, to be in the crowd, to speak and state your mind. It's not for you to organize. That's not what you do. But you get here and you speak your point. Make sure you show up. But don't just show up here. You want to know what the next meeting is? It's the third Thursday, 7 o'clock, right here, council meeting. Third Tuesday, correction. So you want to know what the next meeting is? That's what it is. You can check MontgomeryCounty.org to find out when the school boards is. You can talk to one of these council people to find out what committees have available seats to become part of the solution. We got planning boards and code boards that need people. The local citizens don't just have to be on the police department. We got to be in some of these offices that help run the town. So, to sum it all up, Norristown has already spent $7 million on community and police relationships in the past few years. Yes, $7 million. So, as I told a news reporter before, what I want to happen is I want the caring for Norristown to become contagious. Just like Kia went out there to Eisenhower because she knew something was wrong. She didn't have time to organize nothing, to wait for nobody. She went out there. And she said, I'll be out here if nobody else is out here. We need actions like that to become contagious. If you care about Norristown, get contagious about caring.
I just want to thank everybody for coming out, and I think, you think about what makes a great police department. A great community makes a great police department. If Norristown's safer, it's because you've treated each other well. I've spent my entire career committed to seeing people get home safely at the end of the night. I spent my entire career making sure that I'm not dealing with death and destruction. I spent my entire career fighting against both victimization in the community and victimization by the police department. I appreciate Norristown because Norristown seems to care. I appreciate the tough questions, and frankly, I'm up to the challenge. The Norristown, not only am I up to the challenge personally and professionally, so is the Norristown Police Department. You've got to be willing to continue to engage, continue to ask the tough questions, and I agree with the sentiment. It's not just me that's important. I get that. The entire police department is open to this type of scrutiny and accountability and the questions. In a democracy, if you are charged with taking somebody's life, if the situation calls for it, the very least you can do is sit down and be held verbally accountable to the opinions of the people that you are policing. This is completely fair, it's completely appropriate. I think, to end my comments, we've got to be willing not just to hold the police department responsible, but to hold ourselves responsible and accountable for how we're conducting ourselves in the community. If you can't take the time to be kind to your neighbor, if you can't offer the generosity of a wave or a smile, if you can't take the time to say good morning or good night, you can't really expect the police department to fix a failing community. Right? There are a lot of systems that have to fail before the police are needed. Families are failing, children and youth services are failing, the mental health system is failing, the physical health system, the problems when they get to us are hard. I think we've all got to recognize we got to take care of our own. We've got to hold all these systems and ourselves accountable, as well as the police. But thank you all.
Thank you. I want to thank everybody for inviting me here tonight, and Councilman. One of the things that I do is that I go everywhere. Next week I'll be in Chicago all week with several other people. Our motto next week is when we leave Chicago, there'll be no more deaths by gang violence. I think I'm very honored to be invited to that because of my work. Like one of the brothers said, on both sides of the fence. Right? I did 20 years in Greater 42. And the whole time I'm in there, I seen the error of my life and that I wanted to change and come out and help people. So I'm back on the street for 20 years without incident. And I've been in some high-profile positions because of my vision. And my vision is to see peace in our community, to see our young people not be afraid of being killed in the community and not be afraid of the police and those kind of things. So that's why I came up here. I know I'm not from up here, but I feel kinship to anywhere where there's a problem of these natures because that's what I do. And I do it well. Thank you.
I want to reiterate and thank everybody for coming out, and not to sound cliche, but we as community members just need to be the change that we want to see. So I'm really truly not into politics, but you have to get involved. Unfortunately, everything is run by politics. So the laws that we want to see in place, we get in here, we say we want to see this happen, we want to see that happen. There's a process to that. So we have to get involved. And also, talk about being police officers. That young lady said she studied criminology. I don't know if she's still in here, but hopefully she'll be a future police officer in Norristown. She's from Norristown. She studied criminology. I don't know what she's doing with that, but that is another opportunity to encourage people because we can't just beat up on the fact that we have a lot of Caucasian police officers if we don't have any black applicants. So, I mean, that's where it starts. So it just starts with us getting involved. Everybody isn't going to be on a panel all the time. People don't like to be in the limelight, but you can do is just talk to people. Express your concerns to the people that don't mind being on the panel so that we can voice your opinion, or just show up when we have forums like this. Unfortunately, we have forums like this, it's the same faces. We're preaching to the choir, we're talking to the same people. So just everybody getting involved in it.
I also want to thank everybody for coming out. And, you know, I couldn't tell you what our census this year in Norristown. I can't tell you how many people technically live there. But what I can tell you is that our school district has about 7,000 kids in it. There's 36% Latina, 34% African American, and mid 20% Caucasian, and the remaining is probably, you know, Asian, Pacific Islander, and the other demographics. We're a divided community. If you know anything about Norristown, we've been one of the most diverse communities of anywhere I've ever been in the world. As long as we divide it, as long as we fight, we'll be conquered. We're going to be conquered. And it's happening slowly. So the more we divide it, the more we fight it, the more we're not working together, and the more we're not stepping up and taking over these positions and some of these jobs that the county and the municipality has to offer. You know, we're gonna have tough times. Thanks for coming out tonight.
Just as well as everybody else said, thank you for coming out and everything. I just want to touch on a couple of things before we get out of here. I remember coming up as a kid. We had Carl Robinson, Ed Feliciano, all those guys. They used to take us to the Eagles game, Phillies game, Flyers game. Used to have down behind Whereman Field. It's a big area where you used to ride your four-wheelers, your bikes on. Y'all took them things from us. This is why you're having a hard time communicating with the community. There's nothing for anyone to do. I even get tired of myself with shooting basketball, you know what I mean, or throwing a football down the field. Like, yo, give these kids something to do. This is something I've been crying about when I was a teenager. This is how I ended up on the wrong side of the table. You know what I mean? Y'all took everything from us. And every time I'm out on my truck, I hear kids saying, yo, what happened to the track field down there behind Woodman Field where we can ride forward, learn how to do tricks on a bike. It's amazing to see a kid go from Marshall and Marbury to Ryder Willie all the way up to Halls Avenue. That takes a lot of talent to do that. You know what I mean? Now, just imagine the things that y'all put back there as far as they got out in Amber, a skate park, Philadelphia, a bike park. These things right here will have the officers out there communicating with these children. You know what I mean? It's called interacting. If you don't have anything to interact with these kids to do, you're not accomplishing nothing. I don't care how much stuff you put in the mail, how many meetings you had, or whatever may be going, all these politicians stuff, all that don't mean anything to me. When you out there and you got 20 kids around and you talking to them, that means a lot to me. You doing your job. But all this up at the table and everybody fussing over this and this and that, what did we accomplish here? Anybody accomplish anything? Everybody put out nothing but voices of opinion. Get out there and make these things happen. I voted for you, I voted for you, I voted for Hakim to be walking here to make things happen. Get the job done, man. Get these grants, get these parks, get these things open. If you want to see a better community and people interact with each other, get the things that we need. Get a YMCA. You go to Plymouth, you go down Albor. They got the biggest Ys in their community. Then you wonder why they don't have no high crime rate area and the cops get to communicate with the children. They go out there and have fun. Norristown, what we got? What we got? Let's be honest. Let's all really talk, man. Let's talk. Let's put all the bullshit to the side with all this politician stuff and all that. Let's really talk, man. Norristown need a lot. Y'all got voted on these panels to do things for us. Let's get the job done, man. Go out here, get these skate parks open, get these bike parks open. Let's have fun, man. Let these kids learn life. I have a son that's 14. He won't even come outside. People don't even know that I really got a younger son. You understand what I'm saying? Know what he want to be? Let's see. I done told Greg this, I done told Gary, I done told many people. My son is very smart. I don't put him out there on Facebook, oh, my son is, stop bragging because you may make this kid or that kid or that other kid put his big. So when y'all do that, y'all don't understand y'all hurt them when y'all do that, because kids don't have what Millner kids may have, your kids may have other kids. And I damn sure don't try to make my kids feel better than anything. You understand what I'm saying? So y'all need to just go ahead, man, and let's all get together and get these parks and grants and stuff over there. And let's see how the community changes. It's not going to change just by here having these meetings and these conversations. Your actions speak louder than your words. And believe it or not, these actions that we're doing here, man, it really don't mean anything. It's not putting us in no position to make things happen. You know what I mean? It's just everybody's opinion. You know, we just got to get out there and do what we got to do, man. It's not hard. Millner, you lead the way, you say, look, you know what? It's 5 acres here, let's build something. Not putting up a building. That's you putting people on top of people. We're not going to get ahead anywhere. You know what I mean? I go to a Y down there in North Hills. Once again, I'm down there interacting with cops down there. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because they got a YMCA. They call me to go down there. You understand what I'm saying? These are the things that we need to do for the people to interact with the cops. If I'm standing out on the corner and I'm doing my thing and you roll up, you're a cop, I'm not going to communicate with you. You understand what I'm saying? There's no, what's there to talk about? What is there really to talk about? Nothing. You understand what I'm saying? But now, you got me in a position where Millner put something out of my porta potty. I'm paying $50 a week for that. You understand what I'm saying? He didn't know about it. But did I get upset about it? No, I was upset next to him. Because we all had the same goal to get everything done. You understand what I'm saying? You know, and that's what it's about, man. I don't take nothing to the heart or hard feelings, you know, because I'm on the same page as y'all. I want the best for my kids or anybody else's kids out there. You know what I mean? If we get them things in there, I can't, I'll put this on my life. Watch how things change. Get them skate parks. Get them little bike things in there. All that stuff, it means a lot to me. You understand? I played up a Cab Park all my life. Half y'all ain't never knew Battle Spring until we started talking about it. You understand what I'm saying? We used to go back there and get water all our life. Now everybody want to talk about, oh, the cut out of spring. Well, let me tell you something. Half my family is up there in the grave from the war. You understand what I'm saying? So when y'all talk about history and all that stuff and what we need, y'all have no clue. No clue. You understand what I'm saying? And these things work, man. I'm telling you, just try it out. Walk around in these other communities and see what Norristown don't have and see what they got. And then you wonder why these other townships and things like that don't have high grade or communicate with the cops, whatever it may be. You get them things, man, it's going to be a whole lot of interact with everybody. You can't separate cops from the people in Norristown or whatever, you know. We used to play basketball with the cops. Anybody remember that? Yeah. Anybody ever remember? You remember that, Bedford? Yeah. Softball games with the cops. All that stuff stopped. Why? Because none of the Norristown cops are hard. It's the truth. You know what I mean? Hey, I'm sorry, but I think it's just a lot. I'm going to get off my chest. And I don't want to hold nobody's time up, man. But work on things that I guarantee you. Watch how Norristown change, man. All this politics stuff and all that, man. Y'all in there for what? Don't let the people now do what y'all need to do, man. Let's get the ball rolling and push on these old parks for these kids that have places to go. I guarantee you, your floor will light up for older people. And for instance, if I got 8 kids, you got a skate park. I'm going to take each one of my kids down to this park. So now you got 8 kids from running around getting in trouble. You see what I'm saying? You can't just keep sitting there, oh, well, we're going to put this in the door, we're going to talk about it. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Y'all actions, we can talk that reason because y'all said y'all actions speak louder than your words. And I be honest, I haven't seen anything else, no changes, nothing. You understand what I'm saying? And y'all got to do better, man. I'm not, knocking y'all nothing like that, but y'all in there for a reason. We figured y'all had the capability to get all these things done. You know what I mean? Shoot for it. You know? That's all. Shoot for it. That's it. Thank you. Damn, Lord, thank you. So, okay. Don't talk about my phone
It is an awesome responsibility and a great privilege to serve you. Thank you for coming.
All right, on that note, I want to thank our panel. I want to thank all of you for coming out. getting the ball rolling to find solutions. So thank you, everyone.